And are you guys doing, when you do these, are you doing them as events? Live events?
No, these are pre-recorded. So we record them, videographer chops up video, and then we post them.
Okay. So you see over there on live streaming though, what you can do is you can still pre-record.
Okay.
And then stream it from your computer as an event.
Okay.
So there's no difference. The video is pretty much the same. You sometimes you have to tweak it. There's a bit of a challenge because streaming it from your computer, you're basically like the broadcaster. You're streaming a video from, you're using like something like Wirecast, or there's a whole bunch. I can send you a list of sort of broadcasting software that basically lets you take your video and then you go into your event. It's going to take you, so set that up. It's going to take them like 30 days or 30, it's not 30 days, 30 hours or more, something like that, for them to say, okay, yeah, you're approved for live streaming. For a second. Okay, so you guys are set up. You guys have you guys could do this.
Yeah, we've got a verified account with YouTube.
Yeah. Okay. Pick one of the broadcasting software. Then what you do is you create a booked time when you're going to stream it, and then you sync that with your broadcasting software. So you load in your video, and usually what they'll do is let's say they'll put like a black screen front, and you know, settings in terms of like, you know, end it at the end, automatically start and end it at the time.
Yeah.
And then it's just going to record your video as a live event, right? Like if you go to YouTube right now, you've seen that little like live red button.
Yeah.
Right. So at that time, certainly while it's going live, it's like if somebody were to search your title. And this is the thing about, so I'll get into SEO in a second, but that's where you get to actually jump the queue on a short key search thing, which is why the live event is just so much more powerful. Google is weighting it, live events, way more, even though there's really no difference.
Okay.
So, when I talk about, I'll talk about SEO in a second, but again, the key thing there is that actually you want to start making your titles now what the actual search would be, or close to, like much closer to what you think people would be searching for. And then you start playing with the long key, short key stuff. So there's a little, what I should do is maybe I should share my screen for a second. I don't know if you have to.
So like if I was talking about chatbot, I would say.
Okay, yeah, see, you've got something that will find you some good keyword. Okay, exactly. You're using tools like this. So the process that I was doing before that I started experimenting with on one of the videos, and it's certainly compared to other videos that I just posted up on YouTube before, this was without going live, it certainly seemed to get greater hits right away. And so the strategy was twofold. You know how in the description, so you get your title, whatever you want that to be, then in the description you get like 3 lines, right? So on that top line, you're gonna, as a generic thing, you're gonna have your website, you're gonna have some keywords from your title again, and like the company name or whatever it is, that your standard branding stuff, because that's all anybody sees unless you click show, right?
Yeah. Hey, let me go get a better. Let me move closer to the router really quick.
Sure.
For me, so give me a second.
Hold on, let me try and share my screen for a second. This will stay. Okay. This is one of the sort of first actually little experiments with it, and again, like that's nothing major, 75 views. But it is, like I would say, for something, for the amount of time that it's been up, April 1st, that is a little higher than, let's say, like average views that on pure just YouTube, right? And so I think the difference is this, right? So like I said, up here I've got BIYF marketing and sales advice podcast. Like these are sort of my main keywords that I'm looking for, right? Marketing podcast or a sales podcast. Then you go for the real description stuff, obviously. And then you see, like, what I've done here is I created this line. This is basically what I'm trying to do here is this, is that, you know, have you ever talked about, like, with anyone, like, about sort of the short key and then the long key, and how you try to take a long key and work your way up to that short key?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So your first thing is, like, when you're using one of those tools, you're going to search for related keywords, right? And then you find a list of related keywords that you like, and then based on those keywords, and hopefully, again, looking for the longer tags that people search, you then say look for the ranks, and then instead of going for the very top and not at the bottom, you look for one that's kind of in the middle zone, right? That's kind of a good popular long key. And then what I was really trying to do is put that at the top, because then slowly it's gonna do well. You're trying to kind of leverage that longer one towards the shorter one, right? So then on top of that, then basically doing the research of, like, finding, like, the sources of some of those examples of where people are using, let's say, those examples of a longer key. Then I go into those descriptions and I start looking for words that they're using, sentences, phrases that might be nonsensical. It doesn't actually matter. So this is what I was reading about, is that this kind of stuff, in a way, everything down here doesn't matter. Most readers aren't going to read down below this fold. In fact, I think from now on, I'm just going to say below is for SEO purposes, and you can ignore it. And it's kind of nonsensical, but it's basically just the string of sentences that are related to those longer keys, a batch of search keys. So these become common sentences between other high-ranking pages and sites that are using the same shorter key tags that I want to rank for.
Okay.
So I think this is useful, and I think that strategy is a useful way to create a little more longevity on your hold. But again, the live event seems to me to be a much more powerful way to jump the queue on the short key. So I think if you do these two strategies combined, you get your search key, the thing that somebody might search, like, you know, should businesses avoid Facebook, which people might be searching. That jumps the queue, and then you add this stuff in, and hopefully that holds it, at least so far. I actually didn't do a lot of the SEO stuff on that one, but it's holding at least on videos.
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, that's kind of the strategy. Does that, like, make sense?
Yeah, it does. It'll change what we're doing, definitely. So I'm willing to try that. I think that we've just kind of been mailing it in and putting the content out, but not actually structuring it in a way that is discoverable.